Okay, I'd like to call the Site Plan Review Committee to order for Tuesday, September 7, 2021. Roll call, please.
Mayor Kodowski.
Here.
Dennis Persick.
Here.
Dan Pamprin.
Here.
Gary Paul.
Here.
Chris Atkinson.
Here.
Andy Krowski.
Here.
And Dale Quinn's excused.
Please stand for the pledge. Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please remember all the men and women throughout the world in uniform, especially in this time of grave conflict. Okay, I have no changes to the agenda. I need a motion to approve.
Motion.
Move to approve as presented.
Motion and a second to approve as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 5, action on the Site Plan Review Committee regular meeting minutes, August 17, 2021.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve those minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 6, review plans for the following locations. 6A, action regarding requested site plan review for Bay Bank 2555 Packerland Drive, parcel VA-147. Aaron.
Okay, this is a pretty straightforward request to change out the existing canopy at Bay Bank on Packerland Drive. I do have a rendering, let's bring up here. There we go. As you can see, here's the existing canopy and proposed, looking to modernize it a bit, and really not a whole lot of changes other than just the canopy itself. It does come to site plan review because it is a commercial building and a building permit is required for it. Therefore, it's subject to site plan committee review. There's a representative of the applicant in the audience. If you have any questions for her, otherwise I'm happy to answer them as well.
Does anybody have any questions?
Nope, it makes a nice improvement. I'll move, if no other questions, to approve it as presented.
We have a motion and a second to approve as presented. Any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. 6B, action regarding requested site plan review for Alden Station Townhomes, 430 to 494 Alden Circle, Packerland Drive, parcels VA-1558 through VA-1573. Aaron.
Okay, these are, as President Kardusky mentioned, the Alden Station townhomes. There will be a total of 16 two-story townhomes in the Alden Station development on the old pumpkin patch that Schneider National used to have that we've been working to redevelop with the cooperation of Redu Homes over the past few years. As noted on the site plan, as you can see up there, the townhomes will be grouped in groups of 4. So here are the first 2 groups of 4, and the next 2 groups of 4. These are on the south side of Alden Station, on the north side of Alden Circle. In terms of exterior materials, let's bring those up here. Very similar to the 2-unit homes that are out there right now. More of a gray, black, white type finishes. All the finishes are consistent with the approved plan unit development in place for Alden Station. In terms of the units themselves, there's a mixture of 2 to 3 bedrooms with bathrooms, 2-stall garages. They will all have basements. So it'll be a nice change or addition to the housing stock for the village. Additional options for people who are interested in that type of living. We'll have an option here to live close to the river, the Ashwaubenon Trail, Ashwaubenon Park, and eventually the Ashwaubenon River Trail Bridge connecting to Ashwaubenon Park. As is consistent with the planned unit development, there's no staff conditions. Landscape, everything else was consistent with the PUD. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, Ryan's here to answer questions if you have any questions for him.
Aaron, first question. Overflow parking. You've got 2-stall garages, which takes care of the tenants. Is there anything additional in the area there for them to park?
So there is, if you remember when Alton Station was developed, we did identify bump out areas within the right-of-way itself that, I'm not sure it shows on here or
Is
not.
that showing on that map?
Yep, here we go, right here, right across the street, you see on the screen, we have certain bump out areas for overflow parking built right into the street and the right-of-way.
Okay. All exterior materials do meet our ordinance for the exterior, like I said.
Yep, they meet the PUD, which includes use of concealed fasteners.
I don't know if anybody's been down there lately, but it looks like the development's really going well, Ryan. It's, you know, I drove down there when I was a little girl. We used to drop my dad off because he worked down there, so looks totally different. Looks really nice.
Yeah, I've been down there quite a bit, and it's really starting to take shape. So I'll make a motion. Oops. I've been down there quite a bit, and it's really starting to take shape. So I'll make a motion to approve this.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the site plan for Alden Station Townhomes, 430 to 494, parcels VA-1558 through VA-1573. Any other comments?
One other comment and a question I get periodically. Are they going to start this year, people ask?
I'll defer to Ryan on that, so Ryan, if you wouldn't mind just coming up here into the microphone, so people can hear you.
Ryan Rudu. On the townhomes, yeah, as soon as we can, we're going to start one of those. And also one of the big condo buildings is what the plan is, at least, so.
Okay, so they will. Not to be knowing everything, but I do get that question quite a bit, you know, what's going on down there? You know, you've done a nice job so far, so at least I can say it's starting this year.
Yep, absolutely.
Make it simple. Very good.
As fast as we can build them.
All right. Any prospects on residents moving in already?
Yeah, I don't remember what my last count is. We have quite a few people already in. A lot of the twindos that are under construction are, as soon as we can get them done, they're moving in. And then also on some of the townhomes, I only have one that I think is reserved at this point, but even the big condo building that we haven't started yet, we got some people with reserving spots at least. So it's been great.
Good. All right, very good.
Good.
Good luck.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thanks, Ryan. 6C, action regarding requested site plan review for redevelopment of 2300 South Oneida Street, parcel VA-99-4. Aaron?
This is the proposed redevelopment of the southwest corner of Cormier Road and South Oneida Street. Property's been vacant for a number of years now. It's the former Big and Tall, Oric Vacuum, Huntington Bank site that you see up on the screen. Proposed redevelopment site, of course, is the entire property here on the corner. It is one of the most visible corners in the village, so it's great to see that property get reactivated. In terms of the project themselves, looking at two buildings. Just go up here. I'm going to go to the site plan here first. There we go. The proposed building here in the corner is proposed to be a Mission Barbecue restaurant. The other building to the south is proposed to be a 1 or 2 unit tenant building. No plans or no tenant reservations at this time yet. They do have interest from other retailers, just nothing confirmed yet. As you can see in the property, they're adding quite a bit of green space to the site, which previously had pretty much nothing, quite honestly. The access points, they are going down to 2 access points. The right in, right out on Oneida Street, you see here, that is an existing access point. And also the full access here off of Cormier Road. That's also an existing access point. They are closing off an access point on Cormier right here, and Oneida Street right here along the back side of the existing building. So in that way, it's eliminating a couple access points, which always is a benefit, especially on Oneida Street with the number of access points we have on there. As indicated, the south building, there's a proposed drive-through along the front, connecting to the right in, right out. That is The drive-through is consistent with other drive-throughs that we have on Oneida Street currently, where the drive-through does loop through the front and is permissible under code. In terms of the exterior materials, I'll bring up the architectural, oops, not those architectural plans. As you can see, this is the Mission Barbecue. This is the side that will face Oneida Street. Wisconsin flag, architectural details. This is the side that will face the parking lot. As you can see here, I'm sorry, this is Mission Barbecue here, facing the parking lot to the west. South elevation and north elevation. So this is facing Cormier Road. The second building, this is the side that will face Oneida Street. I do have a recommendation in there to do some sort of architectural features on there, whether it be canopies, lighting, windows, something to kind of break up the mass of the wall along here. But again, that's a recommendation for the developer to take into consideration as they look at the property. In terms of the exterior materials, it's a mixture of brick, wood, and EFIS. We do have our EFIS limitations as far as the percentage per elevation as well as overall. Proposed buildings do meet those limitations as well. As I mentioned, green space in the property will be increased pretty substantially from 9.4% to 16.7%. In terms of the recommended conditions of approval, again, all metal wall panels are to utilize concealed fasteners consistent with past practice and village code. All new ground mounted and rooftop mechanicals greater than 8 inches visible from the street or adjoining properties are to be screened. As you can see right here, the smoker they will have at Mission Barbecue will be screened by the fencing on the south elevation. Catch-all meet all applicable requirements of the Ashwaubenon site plan review and other Ashwaubenon municipal ordinances. From engineering, they've been in contact and discussions with the engineer for the project on this condition here to review the location and size of water main service taps needed. Use Cormier Road versus Oneida, just because the water mains are actually on the opposite side of Oneida Street, and open cutting Oneida Street would not be optimal for traffic flow purposes. So they're working through that, to try to use the Cormier access instead, or taps instead. Stormwater, no comments on that. There'll be an underground storage system to be used. From fire department, public safety, they do ask for the fire lanes to be indicated on the plan and ensure proper fire department access by showing it on the plan. Ensure adequate water supply hydrants is supplied to the buildings with existing hydrants. Provide private hydrants as needed. That's to be sorted out with public safety and engineering. They're working through that right now. Provide a Knox box on the building, again consistent with village code. From forestry, they do recommend changing the autumn blaze Freeman maple in the 4 parking lot islands to smaller mature sized trees to minimize conflicts with parking lot lights as the trees grow larger. They recommend Japanese tree lilac, either ivory silk or snowcap as suggestions. From bike and ped, bicycle parking as indicated on the site plan, consistent with the guidelines of the Association of Pedestrian and Bicycle Professionals. And again, the one recommendation is, again, adding some sort of awnings, architectural features, windows to this elevation here fronting on Oneida Street to kind of break up that architectural mass and create more of a, we'll call it a front elevation on Oneida Street. Representatives of the applicant are in the audience. If you have any questions for them, I'm sure they'll be happy to answer them.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
Just that it's a welcome change.
Yeah, very nice. The only question I got, all the dumpsters are located in that southwest corner there.
They will actually be located, show them on the site plan. Dumpster enclosure is right here, so it'd be the northwest corner, close to Cormier Road.
Okay, I see the north now. All right, that's going to be adequate for those buildings?
Yep, and that'll be shielded by some trees that you see there.
Okay, yeah, I see landscaping around there. Okay. All right, if there's no other questions, I'll make motion to approve the Site plan redevelopment on 2300 South Oneida Street, parcel VA-99-4 with staff conditions.
Okay, and we have a second from Andy. We have a motion and a second to approve. Any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. 6D, action regarding requested site plan review for Starbucks, 2430 South Oneida Street, parcel VA-132-12. Aaron?
All right, this is the former Burger King building. As you saw, there's an article in the Press Gazette, actually just either yesterday or today, referencing this property going from Burger King to a Starbucks. As you can see in the site plan, no major changes in terms of the traffic flow, orientation. Drive-through is still on the back side, as you can see here. Parking lot in front. In terms of the exterior elevations, they're removing the mansard roof that you see right here, kind of the old-style Burger King look. Freshen up the exterior, take care of some of the brick, and add this wood grain metal panel that will have concealed fasteners. In terms of recommended conditions of approval, all metal wall panels are to utilize concealed fasteners. All new ground-mounted and rooftop mechanicals greater than 8 inches visible from the street or adjoining properties are to be screened. Catch-all meet all applicable requirements of the Ashwaubenon site plan review and all other Ashwaubenon municipal ordinances. From engineering, there's a question about the on-site soil being disturbed because there is some environmental issues with the property. The existing parking lot does serve as a cap to protect that site from human contact. Discussions with the ownership group, they will not be, they had planned to reconstruct the parking lot. Instead, they'll be grinding it and putting an asphalt layer over the top to make sure that that cap is not exposed and deal with some of the environmental issues associated with that. So we'll be just grinding and replacing the existing asphalt parking lot on the site. Engineering did identify with the planned Chick-fil-A across the road, recommending a traffic study to show no impact from proposed use. We did have discussion with the ownership group on that. And when I get to the end of the conditions, I'll hand it over to Todd Waller, who's online, to try to address that concern. From public safety, include a Knox box, pretty standard. From forestry, landscaping plan is under review. Tim has since okayed the landscaping as proposed. They did ask that the 2 street trees, the accolade elms planted in the right-of-way along Anderson Drive, be shown in a landscape plan so they're protected, so no one mistakenly decides to take them out. And then include bicycle parking that is consistent with the guidelines of the Association of Pedestrian and Bicycle Professionals near the main entrance. So with that, what I'll do is I'll hand it over to Todd just so he can address some of the that concern about the traffic study, any traffic impacts from Starbucks, and then I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Todd is going to discuss the.
Todd, would you mind just touching base on the traffic?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right, thanks, Aaron. I appreciate the summary of the project. So as Aaron said, it's really, we're not making any material changes to the overall functioning of the site. We're not changing anything in relation to the drive-through. Everything is going to stay the same, essentially just refreshing and updating the site. I did have a few discussions with Aaron about the concern with traffic impact, and I wanted to summarize that a little bit and just give you my thoughts on that. So we are not changing the use of the building. We're not, I guess, my concern was, or my question would be, since it's not a change of use, does it really warrant a traffic study? We're simply replacing the traffic that was already there. I can totally appreciate why Chick-fil-A would have to go through a traffic impact analysis since they are new construction and they are adding traffic volume to the area. And without me changing the use, it's simply a change in business. It's really just a replacement of the traffic that was already there. So I didn't feel as though the impact would be, it's totally subjective, and I didn't think that the impact would be anything different than what's been there on site for the past 20 years. So happy to answer any questions. I hope it's a good addition to the update is a good fit for the neighborhood.
I know your business creates traffic. I'm not against traffic by any means. Without traffic, you don't have business. So I don't think that I'm being negative on this. I just want to make sure that the traffic flows evenly to get in and out of your area, being one of the busiest streets in the county, as Oneida Street is. I want to make sure that people do not get stranded there because they're waiting to get in or out of your property. So with that in mind, I hope it works well for you. Like I say, without traffic, you don't have business, and you need that. So I hope this flows as good as you think it does within the past. I think you probably push more cars through there than a Burger King does, but I wish you good luck at it. I don't want it to be a problem here.
Well, I certainly appreciate that. One thing I will point out, we actually, compared to where the Burger King pickup window was at previously, we did move it a little further down, which allows for better stacking. I think it allows for 1 or 2 cars more. One thing to note too, compared to a typical Starbucks site, this site is definitely larger. It has more parking stalls than a typical Starbucks. And what they are finding is, yes, they do push a lot of drive-through traffic, but they also have a lot of, the sites that have a lot of the queuing problems are sites that are smaller and don't have the parking availability. So people will pull in, and one of the biggest issues is they can't find a place to park, so they immediately go to the drive-thru. So just to leave that note with you that this is parked very well, and more so than a typical Starbucks would be. So I do think and feel pretty strong that this would alleviate any of those concerns, along with the fact that we do have another exit point on Anderson Drive. So if queuing does appear to be stacked, they're not stuck there. They're not trying to make an odd turn to get out on Oneida. They're going to come back out on Anderson Drive.
Is this store going to have inside service where they can sit and enjoy the cup of coffee?
Absolutely. It's going to have it's actually a larger than prototypical Starbucks. Most Starbucks are right around 2,200 square feet. This one is right around 2,700. So they're going to have a large cafe area is what they call it, with lots of indoor seating.
Okay.
My concern, and I'm sure this is what the engineering department was thinking of, the Burger King never had a Chick-fil-A kitty corner from it, so that could create some traffic issues. I understand that you can go out onto Anderson, but like right before school starts, you're not going anywhere on Anderson because of all of the traffic that's on Anderson. And I think that's probably why the engineering department wanted highly to consider doing a traffic study. So that could impact a lot in that intersection.
So when Chick-fil-A did their traffic study, was not the Burger King open at that time?
It was.
So why are we going to make this poor guy go through the expense of another traffic study for a very similar facility when the Chick-fil-A traffic study was not impactful We did not make any changes to anything on that intersection, and Burger King was there. So I think we're asking somebody to do another study, spend some more money for something that if Chick-fil-A was not going to impact it, that interchange, or make recommendations to change anything at that interchange, then what would this potential
I think,
traffic study do?
yeah, I think the primary concern was just the difference in traffic flow you'd see from a Starbucks versus a Burger King.
Right.
I understand that, but
Well, I think
I
it's
mean,
a time of use thing. Chick-fil-A aside, take that right out of the equation. Trying to exit it right there onto Anderson Drive in the morning during school, it will not happen. You will not get out of there.
right, but we're also looking at a Starbucks, which has typical hours of 5 a.m. to 9 or 10 a.m., which Burger King did not have traffic like that at those hours. And then a Chick-fil-A and a Burger King that both have very heavy lunch hours. So if you ask my opinion, I think we're better off having a Starbucks on that corner and a Chick-fil-A across the street, because they are two total different hours. I mean, before we were okay with having a Burger King lunch hour and a Chick-fil-A lunch hour. Now we eliminated our lunch conflict and kind of moved the hours into the morning for Starbucks and in the afternoon for Chick-fil-A.
What about the school, though? For me, it's a school.
Well, the
conflict.
school's been there all along. I mean, we can't move the school or this piece of property. Maybe we can force them not to use Anderson Drive, but I'm telling you, the customers
No,
will
you-
probably move away from Anderson Drive and move out onto Oneida Street if they can't get out of there.
Personally, I think you're gonna get a lot more traffic, like I said, because the school is gonna make it very difficult.
Well, I'm assuming the
That's my own-
school is one of their very big customers, those teachers going to school.
Right.
So,
So Todd, when you open at 5, correct? Well, how long does it run hard at the Starbucks, similar to the one in De Pere that runs that drive-through right out in the road? They're busier than all heck. How many hours straight do you think they run hard in the morning?
It's hard to say. It's pretty subjective. I would say, you're probably in that, 5:30 to peak times, probably around 7-ish, starting to taper off, later morning hours. One thing to point out is any of the traffic that's within the parking lot, they do have that ability to circulate just within the parking lot and then exit out on Oneida Street and take a right turn. So there are options, and I don't think anybody likes the idea of trying to battle traffic or try to pull out in areas they don't need to. And I think the simple solution is any of the traffic within the parking lot simply going to circulate around and probably just do a right out. And people do have the option if traffic is unsafe and they're coming out of the drive-thru, they can simply take a right. But I think these are problems and situations that have existed all along for the last 20 years. I mean, Burger King does sell a lot of coffee as well, and they sell a lot of breakfast as well. And I don't think really you're going to notice any impact beyond what was already there.
Todd, are they going to keep the other one on Oneida Street open, or are they going to move it to this one?
I'm not sure. I actually think that this might take a little bit of pressure off that store. I think you guys being, living in Green Bay, know that the traffic patterns of the commuters better than anybody. And I think that a lot of the commuting traffic that passes the store may pass the other one as well. So I don't know, just because I'm not privy to Starbucks internal operations. I don't know what their plan is for that other store. But it would likely take some pressure to kind of balance things out a little bit.
I guess I would ask, have we had any issues with that store with traffic backup?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Yeah, I've never seen anything either.
So with 2 of them that close, it should kind of dilute it a little bit.
Well,
maybe.
and also, so you're thinking of the one in De Pere, which does not have a very
No, De Pere
long.
is, you can't compare De Pere to
Yeah,
nothing because
there's no,
there's no parking in that lot whatsoever. You get to the window and you're lucky if you got 3 cars in there and you're sitting on the street already, so.
right, there's no backup.
And if you look
there.
at the one up on West Mason and Military, you know, a lot of, if they're backed up, they're all backed up into that parking lot.
Correct.
It's not affecting that busiest intersection probably in the county. So I think looking at the schematic here, moving that window to the south more gives you more room to park cars in the driveway and hopefully eliminate some of the discussion we're having right now. And I think time will tell how that's going to work. You know, if you get they only serve, I'm not familiar with the place too much. I'm not a big drinker of coffee, but is that all they serve is coffee? They don't. So if it gets backed up, can you give them a number, go park in the parking lot, and then wait for their order to come out so you can keep traffic moving? Like Culverts does? They get the cars out of the way.
Yeah, they do have mobile ordering, and a lot of people use that. I know personally, when I go to Starbucks, I have no interest in waiting in line. Kind of the trick is you place your mobile order with your app, you go park in the parking lot, you walk in, you grab it from the barista bar, and you go on your way. And there's no reason to sit and wait in the queue. So the way that technology is going with fast food, quick service style restaurants, there's a huge push now for mobile ordering to help facilitate orders and reduce these parking or queuing issues that have historically occurred.
Okay.
So this is just a recommendation from engineering?
Right, it was something that they wanted to make sure was really discussed, and there was a plan in place, you know, should any issues happen. And I think, you know, Mr. Waller identified that if traffic is a backup, I think there's a way to queue traffic around the parking lot to stack quite a few cars in there beyond just the drive-through lane.
Okay, and I have to agree with you, Aaron. It's a
Yeah, that was gonna be my question.
recommendation
Aaron.
is all it is.
That you got to find a way to optimize, looking at this schematic, a way to optimize traffic flow. Do you actually know how many cars could be stacked? Have you looked at that? If worst
Yeah, there
case
was
scenario?
upwards of 30 when I counted
Okay.
out.
But I agree that there should be a contingency plan if nothing else. Because I agree that time of the morning in that area, especially when school's on,
Well, I got an idea.
good.
Let's change coffee time. Have people get up later in the morning. Then we won't have this problem.
So I'll make a motion to approve
There
this.
you go. Let's do something here. Did you make a motion?
Yes, I did.
And I guess if I just asked the question, so with staff conditions minus the traffic impact analysis,
If you ask me, I don't think we need to do another traffic impact. And I'm only going off of this. I mean, Starbucks is not going to do anything nowhere near that quick, or Chick-fil-A is going to do to that intersection.
right? I just wanted to clarify just for the minutes purposes.
Yeah. So if the question was answered correctly, that when Chick-fil-A did their impact study, the Burger King was taken into consideration,
Correct, it was.
and we did nothing to that intersection for Chick-fil-A.
No, it's internal to the mall parking lot and lanes.
So I don't see that another expense of a traffic study is going to make us really do anything different. If Chick-fil-A was not going to impact it, I don't see where Starbucks does, especially when there's 2 total different hours compared to a Burger King. So I would say I would not ask them to do a traffic study.
But with the other conditions of.
Yeah, all other conditions.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve without the traffic impact study, but with all the other staff conditions. Now, I just do want to say, I am a coffee drinker, and I have gone to Starbucks many times. And when Chick-fil-A's impact study was done, there is no way that Burger King is anywhere near as busy as a Starbucks between 7 and 9 in the morning. It just, there's no way. And I think we didn't have the same conditions in Chick-fil-A's traffic impact study. So for that reason, I am going to vote no, because I think that the traffic impact study should be done.
I'm with Mary, as somebody that goes to Starbucks very frequently, even through past them hours. It's pretty common to wait 15 minutes in a drive-through going through there, and especially in the morning in that area, trying to turn left out of that driveway on Anderson Drive would be an extremely difficult task. I personally think it needs to have a traffic impact study done, just because of the time of use is different. The amount of vehicles going through there is completely different. If you had Chick-fil-A on this corner, again, it would be a totally different story. I just think that for the time of day that you're actually utilizing this property, it's just different.
I'm just afraid that that intersection is going to get clogged up.
More clogged up than it already is. It's so difficult that I go down there every day, and in order to get there, I have to go down from past South Ridge Road. I have to go all the way down Cormier, down to Oneida Street, come down Oneida, and then turn up Anderson. That's the only way to get into that area throughout the day. Otherwise, you're stuck because of everybody trying to get in and out of that high school.
So,
Oh, Mary, I do know that at the high school, they changed that to get in that school, so they're going up, they're taking different routes because they can't turn in the normal way with that new parking lot.
Right.
That has helped quite a bit.
right.
Yeah.
That's chased people all the way up to Pilgrim to Ridge and vice versa to get in there, coming from that backside. So that should help the situation somewhat.
I just, like I said, there's got to be a plan for if
Right.
there is traffic congestion in that intersection.
And
That's my concern.
I agree, and I don't know what we can and can't do or what we can and can't suggest, but I mean, for me, I guess it would be better if it was a right turn only onto Anderson Drive from 5 to 8 a.m. Monday through Friday. I'd be a little more,
But if you turn them off onto Anderson to
gonna-
the right,
and I-
Chris, there's nowhere for them to go.
I agree, 100%.
So that doesn't do
Right.
anything either. So, anyway,
Now you got me thinking.
Actually, a right turn would send them all up to the school.
right. Right.
I don't think any traffic engineer in the world is good as.
No.
Well, that direction
Commercial
is
business.
much more navigable than the other direction, that time in the morning.
Yeah, well, I think what's going to happen is the people are going to go out onto Oneida, which is fine. They'll do a right
Right.
turn onto Oneida. But I'm just concerned about clogging up that intersection. That is our main road. You know, like Gary said, it's the busiest road in Brown County. And I just don't want to create so much congestion that people don't go down it. That's my only concern, so. Anyway,
So not to be devil's advocate here, but I mean, we can have a million arguments about it. But you know, most of the businesses on Oneida Street are not open until 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. So I don't know that when we look at these traffic studies, and I've read a ton of traffic studies, that, you know, the first thing they look at is the traffic on those streets at those hours. And I mean, Oneida Street is going full steam ahead at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's really cooking at 3 when that school lets out. And, you know, so it's, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to take in consideration there, but I mean,
right.
I made my
Well,
motion.
and the other thing to touch on too is, you know, Burger King could simply change their business model, and it's very subjective to know exactly what the traffic volume was at Burger King in the morning hours, because yes, they don't sell as much coffee as Starbucks, but they sure sell a lot of breakfast sandwiches and a lot of food. And the other thing to keep in mind is the school is open, you know, school's not year round. And, you know, to penalize a business that is year round, when there's absolutely no impact on traffic between June, July, and August, to just say like Starbucks doesn't work here because of school, I don't think that's appropriate. There's really no way of knowing exactly, is it 10 cars? Is it 20 more cars a day that go through the drive-through? We don't know, and it's very, I think it'll be unnoticeable compared to the way that it functioned and operated, quite frankly, for the last 20 years. So again, it's very difficult to just say, Starbucks is going to have this tremendous impact beyond what was already there. If anything, when Oneida Street gets extremely busy through the daytime, from a traffic safety standpoint, it's going to be less impactful from a Burger King, whose busiest time, without a doubt, is during lunch hour, directly competing with Chick-fil-A. So to have less lunch hour food on this corridor, I think is going to alleviate traffic from a safety standpoint.
Well, first of all, we don't know any of these things, and I think that might be one of the reasons people do studies, to get more information. My question, to put you on the spot, Aaron, what would we gain by doing another study? Because I'm going to have an open mind. Maybe we will get more information. I'm not so sure Burger King was that busy in the last couple of years in my experience, but is there anything that we could look to another study to give us more information about this?
Well, typically the traffic impact analysis, they'll use kind of canned numbers for a fast food restaurant. Now, when Chick-fil-A did their analysis, or when TADI did the analysis, they took a look at Chick-fil-A specifically in terms of what kind of traffic they generate, as opposed to a standard, Burger King, McDonald's, so on and so forth. Now, I do think that Starbucks is probably more in line of McDonald's, something like that, as opposed to a Chick-fil-A. I think the Chick-fil-A is kind of a one-off when it comes to the traffic generation. I mean, I think they're going to generate substantially more than most other businesses. So I think that's the question is, will we as a committee get more information necessary for us to make a good decision for the future of that area in the village? It could very well be that the study's going to come back, it's going to say, yep, no impact. It could also just say, yeah, you're going to have impacts at 8 and 9 in the morning. And I guess I can't say what the impact is going to be because the study hasn't been done.
Right.
The other thing the study will take in consideration is turns. So, it's going to look at, when we looked at the Chick-fil-A, we were looking at turns into Chick-fil-A and turns out of Chick-fil-A. So that they didn't necessarily take in the turns or the turning actions or the cross or the conflicts for this corner. They took it for Chick-fil-A's corner. So it would show you some of those conflicts and possible turns. But unless we're going to reconstruct that intersection or ask them to reconstruct the intersection, the only thing we could control is the turns out of their facility and into it.
The major concern I had is traffic backing up into Oneida Street, people trying to go through the drive-through, and the traffic backing up onto Oneida Street. When I talked with Mr. Waller about that, he said if that becomes an issue, they certainly can, again, reroute the traffic through the parking lot to create additional queuing space. I think that's a reasonable accommodation should that event occur. Now, that would cause problems with people who are parking there and possibly they're, the grab and go or they order online. But I do think there's also a point at which people are using more of that as opposed to sitting in the drive-through. So again, there's a lot of, I guess, speculation at this point. I'm really not sure how it's going to play out, quite honestly.
I think, Aaron, that we should give it a shot. I truly believe in it and make the adjustments as needed. Whether you decide to do a turn, all of a sudden you got a mess, or do you start rerouting in the parking lot like they said. I think it's, you will know, we'll keep arguing and talking about it, but if we don't, we got to give it a shot and then you can make the adjustments, I really believe.
And I do sit there, so I go to McDonald's in De Pere, and I'm just amazed at that Starbucks in De Pere. But out of their drive-through, they do pay and serve, so they're not like a double drive. Okay, and I'm just amazed that they're not doing double drives because they're releasing a car, I would say, every 3 to 4 minutes, not every minute like a McDonald's. So if we can take care of stacking on the property, I mean, this release of a car every 4 minutes, I mean, that's a traffic change in an intersection. So if you're still only going to have one drive-through window?
Yeah, there's only one drive-through here.
Yeah.
And, one thing to touch on too is nobody has a higher level vested interest in the site functioning smoothly and well than Starbucks itself. They spend an incredible amount of money analyzing sites and understanding the traffic patterns and the patterns of their customer base. It does not help them whatsoever to have stacking and queuing issues. That is a big deal to them. That's why I had to demonstrate stacking capabilities of the site for them, and then they analyze it because they do not want to get themselves into a situation where they have traffic stacking and queuing issues. So they're an incredibly efficient machine, probably more so than Burger King is. I really don't feel like there is going to be any issue. I think the impact is going to be unnoticeable compared to what it was with Burger King. And I think also it's going to be such a dramatic improvement to the aesthetics of the site that if more complications get thrown into this, then Starbucks just may not do the deal. And then, we're sitting with an empty mansard roof 20-year-old Burger King building. And I don't think that does any of us any good. I think it's a good adaptive reuse of the existing building, a huge facade improvement, updated landscaping, new parking lot. I don't want to lose sight of that as well.
So Todd, let me ask you this question. And you're right, I mean, Starbucks is going to want to get those cars out onto Anderson Drive without a hassle because it's going to back up and shut down their drive-through. So if they were to run in problems with that, can they put the drive where it would go across the front of the building and get out towards Oneida Street?
I'm sorry, can they
So right now that,
change the,
Just reverse the direction, I think, is that what you mean?
right, so right now the drive-through exit is right onto Anderson Drive and there's no other way out, correct?
Yeah.
correct.
Yep.
So let's assume we have an issue there at 7:30 in the morning and you can't even release cars because they're backed up all the way to the high school. Is there the ability to run the drive-through across the front or along Anderson Drive so they could have the option of getting out on Oneida Street?
Well, we're well outside of the setback, so I don't see any issue with, if it came down to a problem where they couldn't run full building circulation in front of the patio there.
Yeah.
And something else, Dan, by doing it that way, you're going to stack up fewer cars to get to the windows than circling it around to the
that
back
could
of the
happen.
building. That I don't, it's a good idea, but I don't think there's enough room to
Yeah,
do
well, now you come
know.
with conflicts again, because you're gonna have conflicts with the guys stacking into the drive-through to the conflict of the guys trying to get out of the drive-through. So, I mean, I'm just bringing up that stuff, but that would be a way to control it
Right.
on site.
I think in my mind that because the cars that stack on Anderson Drive, when they drop their kids off at the school, that the cars that stack on Anderson Drive, there's not a lot of stacking between where that Burger King
Right.
outlet is and Anderson Drive
To make a left turn.
to make a left turn. So until that light turns green again and gets those cars off Anderson onto Oneida, there's gonna be cars sitting there, and then these cars are gonna be sitting in the drive-through to get out onto Anderson. That, I agree with Dan, if they could run the cars in the front of the patio area to go back out onto Oneida Street and take a right onto Oneida, that almost would help, but I don't know if we'll be disturbing soil then with that.
Is it something where that's an option should traffic start to become an issue that that Todd be willing to take a look at that as a option, should traffic start to become an issue on Anderson Drive to create a cut through for the drive through to access, go back into the parking lot?
McDonald's got that. They go back in, can't they?
Yeah, they
They can
do.
circle around the front of the building, and they got two directions. They can circle around the building and back out to Willard Drive, or take a right and get back onto Oneida Street.
Yep.
So they got two different directions to go there. You know, and that was kind of behind my mind. If I'm getting coffee and it's backed up there, I would circle back through the parking lot and get out on Oneida Street. And then also, well, I can't talk about McDonald's. They also have a back driveway to get out to Willard right away too. And I think Midwest Expansion, on one of their projects, they got the traffic circling around the building back into the parking lot and letting them go whatever way they want to go.
So I guess, Todd, to try to get us off center here, is that something that if traffic becomes an issue, you'd take a look at putting that, make a connection between the drive-through and the parking lot here to allow people a relief valve to get out into the parking lot that way?
So you're saying if we go and the store opens, it shows that this is an issue, going back and looking at creating a drive aisle along the patio.
Correct.
I don't see why we couldn't visit that if this does become an issue. I mean, I would probably feel confident enough to agree to looking at that if it becomes an issue, because I truly don't believe it is going to be. And so, I mean, I'm open to that. And I think it's easy to look at this and say, well, this is going to be a Starbucks, it's going to create all these new issues. But I know that this site has functioned like this for a long period of time. And there's a lot of drive-through traffic with Burger King, with food and breakfast, and 70% of Burger King's traffic or sales volume comes through a drive-through. It's less with Starbucks, about half of that. So it may be a wash, quite frankly, with Starbucks versus Burger King, because we are not changing the use of the building, we're simply changing the business model. 10 years from now, Starbucks could decide to have a heavy lunch menu. Burger King could decide to, sell more breakfast and more coffee. I don't know. So I think we just don't want to lose touch of that as well. This isn't a change in use. It's just a business model change.
So,
but to answer your question, Aaron, I mean, if the city would allow that, I never heard of an operator not wanting building circulation.
yeah. So can I change my
change your motion?
motion?
I think it has to be voted on first, correct?
Well,
You
could
really
amend-
should
amend it.
vote on it
We
first
need to
to,
vote on what you,
Correct.
I mean, could he amend his motion?
You can amend the motion, can't you?
amend the motion that's on the floor, or you can request to rescind the motion.
Well, so then I'll request to amend the motion in lieu of the traffic study. I would make a proposal, if there is conflict there,
Change it.
that public safety has a considerable problem with, that they would agree to connect the drive-through exit with the main parking lot.
Right, Todd?
okay, are you okay with that, Andy, as a second?
Yes.
Okay, does everybody understand the motion?
No, I'm not. Would say that, Dan, you want them to do what?
So in lieu of it forcing them to do a traffic study, we would have a motion that if public safety determines there is a traffic conflict here, that they would agree to connect the drive-through exit, because that one that just goes out on the Anderson Drive is an exit only. So the drive-through exit with the main parking lot.
Right along the patio.
Through the patio.
So in other words, when they get to the exit of the drive-through, they can either turn to the left and go into the main parking lot and make a determination of what to do then, or they can just stay in line and exit onto Anderson Drive. I mean, I really believe Anderson Drive's left turn or their eastbound traffic will dictate what the exit of that Starbucks does to the person in that exit.
I feel more confident with that.
Okay, and Dan, just to clarify, the determination as to whether there's a problem will be made by public safety.
Public safety, yeah.
Okay.
See, public
So we're all on the
safety,
same page.
with that other traffic impact that was done for Chick-fil-A, there's, public safety is involved in that one too. in
Yeah, they
case
can
there's a-
change,
So
public safety can change the stacking ability of
Correct,
Chick-fil-A.
correct. So does everybody understand the motion and the second?
Yeah.
Okay,
Can I just get a clarification? Sorry. So it's still with staff conditions minus the traffic study, but then if public safety finds a conflict, then you want them to go before the patio
Right.
as an exit.
as an exit
Right,
to go
so they
back
would
into the
connect the
main
drive-through
parking lot.
exit with the main parking lot.
Okay.
Okay, does everybody understand that? I can be okay with that one. I feel much better with that.
Made somebody happy today. Todd might be pissed.
You know, I've been through a few of these through the years, and they always talk about traffic. I hate to say, a lot of times they were wrong. The traffic never became an issue. I remember when Target went up on the hill there, oh my God, that is the most horriblest thing that ever happened to Ashwaubenon. They could take them damn parking lots out of True Lake, or whatever that street is there, and nobody would miss them because the traffic is not there like they predicted. They made a few turn lanes and it took care of all the problems, rather than putting up another set of traffic lights. So I think it's a great addition to the village. If I had, it's too late for me to say this, but I would let them go as it is presented. And if we got a problem, it'll be their problem to make sure it's straightened out. But I don't see a problem. I agree with the school, but that's the only thing I'll agree with. It could be a little congested there. It's for a short period of time. And if you're going to get impatient, you're going to take a right and go on up the street to get away from the traffic, circle back down over to Cormier or wherever you want to go and get out of it. That's my 2 cents.
Okay,
But we got a motion on the floor.
does everybody understand the motion?
I
Okay.
hope so.
So the motion is that we approve with the caveat that, with staff conditions, without the impact study, with the caveat that if public safety determines that there is a traffic issue, that they will look at putting the vehicles to be able to go in front of the patio back into the main parking lot. Okay, everybody understands that?
And I doubt if it'll happen, but I'll go with it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for your thoughts.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time.
Thanks.
Thanks, Todd.
Okay, any department reports?
Real quickly, I know a few of you noticed that obviously Chick-fil-A has started to break ground, moving some dirt over there. For your information, tomorrow at 3:30 PM, the first building for the merge development has a groundbreaking. You certainly are welcome to attend if you're interested. It's for the Commonplace Apartments and the Odyssey Climbing Gym, the development on Mike McCarthy Way.
That's finally gonna happen, eh?
Yep, it's going to happen.
What
So
time is that at, Aaron?
3:30 PM.
I think if you go down Mike McCarthy Way, you see some activity there right now.
Yeah, the one that likes you.
Okay, we will have an agenda for next meeting?
We will. Holiday gas station C-Store has submitted a site plan and rezoning request.
Ooh, where they going?
The old Badger Ladder site.
Aaron, let's bring something simple.
Over where, Aaron?
The old Badger Ladder site, Mike McCarthy and Ashland Frontage Road.
Okay. Any more comments? Need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
4
Thank you.
o'clock.
This